Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining me today. My name is Tim Mickelson, and I am an independent agent with MedicareCompareUSA. I've been with them since 2013 and have been probably in Medicare about a year before that. Prior to that, I had worked in long-term care insurance, and that was probably from about 2007 to right around 2012, I guess. And I'd say that's probably where I got the best experience when it comes to making these phone calls. And it was probably the most difficult calls that I had to make in all my career, just because, well, I think the leads to begin with were a little bit cold. But it just was one of those things that nobody wants. Nobody wants long-term care insurance. They don't realize usually the importance of it. Before that, I was actually, I was at a home office for 5 years at Allianz Life and made a lot of phone calls there. That was my primary job. When I started there, I was taking calls, but then went into a position where I was making outbound calls, and really you learn. Also, I was being tracked and stuff. So you were making quite a few calls. You knew exactly how many calls you were making each day and what the success was of those calls. Prior to that, I did some AV sales and computer training sales. And in those situations too, it was just sort of building my career and building my understanding of how to make these phone calls and connect with these folks. I would say that I've made approximately 50,000 calls since I started doing sales that involve being on the phone or using the phone in some way. And currently with Medicare, starting this back in 2013, really with Medicare Compare USA, I was able to bring that expertise that I had, and really when I guess when it comes down to it, it's practice. It really comes down to practice, and I was able to bring that over. And I think I found that Medicare is easier. You've got a product here that everybody wants. I would say almost 100% of the people you call don't know what's going on. They don't understand Medicare. They are looking for help. Now they're in some cases getting bombarded with agents, depending on what they do. If they follow, go on to the TV and they make the phone call or they click a button online, they can get overwhelmed. And I'll tell you right now that I've had those calls where, I immediately was told, oh, geez, another person's calling me. And I was able to set up appointments with those folks because of the way that I spoke to them, and the way that I introduced myself and the professionalism that I used. So hopefully I can share that with you a little bit here and get you to use that in your own practice. So why should you make these phone calls? You're helping these people. They need your help. And, of course, when we call people, you always get that, who is this? I even called one of my clients yesterday and I got the runaround, who is this? What do you want? That's your insurance agent. Oh, so, people don't like to be called. They don't like it, to be interrupted. I mean, and it's the same thing. We all know it. When we get phone calls that we don't know who they are, or, maybe it was something that we had asked for and a week has gone by and we forgot about it. So it's important that you, as the person making the phone call, is very, very quick and concise about what's going on, but also you have to sound professional. You don't want to sound like somebody who's calling from a telephone bank and just trying to wrangle someone in. Another thing that I would encourage you to do is to keep metrics on your phone calls. It's good for you to kind of understand what your success rate is. I did it at the beginning of my Medicare career, but I did it pretty much religiously when I was doing long-term care insurance. And what I would do is I would say, okay, I made 50 calls a day. Well, I'll make tick marks. And each call I make a tick mark, whether I'm leaving a message and I can even save it as, well, that was a message or that was a live contact. But I knew that if I made 50 phone calls, that I would get a hold of, I'm just making this up, but 8 to 10 people. I'd get 8 to 10 live people on the phone, leaving messages on the other ones. And then of those 8 to 10, I would make 3 or 4 appointments, and of those 3 or 4 appointments, I'd have 1 to 2 sales. So that helps you to understand and put right in your mind what you're doing, because you can get frustrated. You can be going through phone calls and just saying, gosh, this is ridiculous. I'm getting these rejections. I'm getting told, not to call back, or, just weird stuff like that can happen. And it really knocks you down. But when you put it into a metric that you understand, meaning that, hey, I know I'm going to get a number of those bad calls. I know I'm going to get a number of people yelling at me, but I also know that if I hit that 50, that's going to result in 2 sales. Now, I will tell you that your metrics will be a little bit better when you're doing Medicare calls. These were long-term care calls, and like I said, that was a little more of a difficult business to get people warmed up to. So, the agenda: we're going to be calling leads, leaving messages, making contact, qualify the contact. We want to handle objections that we get on the phone. And ultimately, this is the goal. We want to set that appointment. We're not trying to sell anybody anything right now. They know what we're looking for, but we want to set that appointment. That's where we want to be. So first of all, calling leads. Leads come from many different sources, and you will get different responses. When you are calling somebody that is one of our calling on behalf of one of our clients, so they've gotten your information, or you've gotten their information because they inquired through their hospital partner, one of our hospital partners. Those are going to be a lot easier. You might still have a little bit of a challenge, but if you kind of follow these directions, I think you're going to find that it's it's pretty much almost 100% that you're going to get in and be able to start talking to them and figure out what's going on, and see if there's someone that really is somebody that you can want to have an appointment with. So keep that in mind too. You want to differentiate yourself from other callers. This means that you have to identify yourself quickly and make sure that they know who you are and what you're trying to accomplish there. So here's the big thing, and this is my call or my presentation here about a month ago is a little bit different because we weren't having this spike in the pandemic. But I would encourage you that in the beginning of your career doing working Medicares, that you try to focus on face-to-face. Now, maybe right now, at this moment, that's not the best option. Maybe telephone appointments are better. At this point, I've got a book of business that's over 1,500 clients, and it pretty much stays there. It does grow a little bit. You're going to lose some each year. You're going to keep gaining some each year, but it's hovering right around that amount. And at this point, especially with last year, I pretty much went straight to telephone appointments. And I'm busy enough right now that it is kind of hard to get out and drive out and go to all these appointments. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I started the Medicare business, I demanded a face-to-face appointment, very professionally, of course. But I will tell any new agent that you look for that face-to-face appointment, and it doesn't matter how far you have to drive. Getting in front of that individual is going to cement your relationship, number one. It's going to make it easy for you. Now in the future, you can do their reviews over the phone, but for them to have seen your face, to have had a cup of coffee with you or whatever, that, just spending that time together, it will cement that relationship, but it's also going to get you more referrals down the road. I can tell you that. And I don't care if you have to drive 50 miles to go see that individual, even more. Second thing is you just want to build that book of business. These Medicare sales, they stay on the books. People will stay with you for years. So do whatever it takes to build that book of business. And if that means driving a long ways, then do it. Obviously, for safety reasons right now, I understand that it's probably better to do telephone appointments. I'm sure we'll get out of this eventually, and we can go back to doing that. So here's some, I think, some sage advice for you. So one thing you want to do is identify yourself. Let them know who you are. Explain the reason for your call. Call these leads ASAP and regularly, and leave messages. And do respond to questions. Don't try to bulldozer over these folks and push your agenda, which is obviously to get that meeting. If you don't answer those questions up front, they will stop listening, and you're just going to lose them there. Do not pretend to be from Medicare or misrepresent yourself. I've heard people just say weird things just because they think that, oh, well, that'll get them so they'll start listening to me. It's not the way to do it. It's going to create big issues down the road and could get you in trouble. Do not ask, how are you doing? They're not going to appreciate the gesture. I mean, it is so natural when you see a friend on the road, or you call one of your buddies, you say, hey, how are you doing? All right. So we've got it ingrained in our mind that that's what we have to do. We have to ask people how they're doing. When somebody calls you that you don't know and they say, how are you doing? Right away, oh boy, it just turns you off big time. So try to remove that from your phone call. It does not belong there. This is a professional call, and it's just getting in the way of you discussing what it is that you needed to talk about. Don't laugh when discussing medications or health conditions. People, when you're discussing those things with them, will get nervous sometimes, and they'll kind of giggle about something, or they'll, oh yeah, I take that ton of medications. Just be stone cold. You do not want to respond in any way other than just professionally. You could say, well, I see. And then just, as you're writing it down, oh, I just want to get this written down. Don't ever laugh. It will have a negative response. Do not ask for permission to ask a question. Just ask the question. Well, do you mind if I ask you some health questions? Or could I ask you some questions? That's just, it's ridiculous. Just ask the question. Say, are you taking any medications? Where do you see your physicians? What facility are you using? Just ask the question. It's just so much more professional, and you'll get a better response from that. All right, leaving messages. I have a lot of people say, well, I don't want to leave messages. I want to get a hold of the person live. Well, more and more people nowadays are screening their phone calls. And certainly, if I don't recognize a phone number, a lot of times I won't pick up the phone. So this could be a referral response through voicemail or the web. Always leave a message when you call them. If someone truly wants to speak with me, I don't want to risk them missing them on the phone for a week or two because they screen their calls or they're not in at this time. So here we go. Here's my first message. Hello, Sally. This is Tim Mickelson from MedicareCompareUSA. The reason for my call is I received a request for information on Medicare plans accepted by your physician. I'm a local agent, and I just had a few quick questions to ask before I can put the information together for you. Please call me back at 425-346-2907. All right, so slow down on your phone number. You can do it twice, but at least slow down and enunciate the numbers so that they can catch that. Now, if I don't hear from them, I might give them a day or two, and then I'll go through and I'll call them again, and most likely you may have to leave another message. Hello, Sally. This is Tim Mickelson from MedicareCompareUSA. The reason for my call is I received your request for information on Medicare plans accepted by your physician. I left a message for you about a week ago, and I wanted to try you again. I just had a few quick questions to ask before I can put the information together for you. Please call me back at, and then give me your phone number. Now, third message, I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I just want to just let them know again, hey, I've been trying to reach you. I have left other messages. Of course, do it, in a very polite manner. A lot of times they're just putting you off, but they're going to call back. Now, not everybody always calls back. So if I do get to a fourth message, I'll leave something like this. Hello, Sally. This is Tim Mickelson from MedicareCompareUSA. The reason for my call is I received a request for information on Medicare plans accepted by your physician. I just had a few quick questions to ask before I can put the information together for you. Please call me back at, give the number. Then I go into, I have left several messages for you over the last few weeks or a few days, whatever it is. I'm holding your file open for you. If I don't hear back from you by the end of the week, I will assume your interest has changed and I'll go ahead and close your file. I get a lot of phone calls at that point. And in fact, it's so powerful. I once got a phone call from a woman. She left a message and she said, yes, I got your messages and I don't want your services and I need you to just stop calling me. Well, she didn't need to call back. I already told her I wasn't going to call her again, but it's amazing how many people will call back. And I would say too, like, don't give up at this point either. Amazingly, it could be 1, 2, 3 weeks after this that I will get a phone call from someone and it's extremely apologetic. And let me tell you something, those are easy calls because they know that you've been calling, they know they want the service, they want your help. And for them to call you back, that's pretty strong. So definitely leave messages. All right, so making contact. So let's say that they do answer the phone and you're able to talk to them. That would go something like this. Hello, could I speak with Sally? Hi, Sally. This is Tim Mickelson with MedicareCompareUSA. I received your inquiry about Medicare. What exactly are you trying to find out? So I love this because I've just, I didn't waste any of their time. I was very quick about letting them know who I was, but saying it in a very calm and, reassuring voice, letting them know who I'm with and why I'm calling. And you could say, I received your inquiry about Medicare. I received your inquiry through Overlake Hospital that you were trying to get some information about Medicare. What exactly are you trying to find out? And that can kind of throw them back on their heels. A lot of times this may or may not happen, but they may say, well, I'm not sure, or who is this? And just respond, oh, my name is Tim Mickelson. I'm calling because you sent in that card or you responded to that letter. How can I help you? And that's when you're going to get them to open up and they could talk. Maybe they're saying that, oh, I've been getting bombarded with phone calls. Yeah, oh, I understand. Yeah, you get into that age, or I'm getting all this mail, and or they just start telling you, oh yeah, I'm turning 65, or I've got this plan, I'm not happy with it, or whatever it might be, depending on the enrollment period that you're in. And I'll say, well, that's great. As a local agent, I can assist you with your questions. What concerns do you have? Now, if they say, well, I don't know what somebody was telling me about this supplement plan, or somebody was telling me this about that, I might give them a little bit of information. In fact, I encourage you to do that. Like I said, if you don't answer the questions, you're going to get stuck there and you're not going to really establish any kind of sense of credibility or trust. So try to make your answers pretty concise, enough that they understand what they're talking about. And some people will just go into a rant. They'll just start asking one question after another. And that's where I kind of stop them and say, well, the best thing we can do is to set up a time to meet. But before that, I just need to get a little information from you. Now, I'd say in my earlier part of my career, went on a few appointments, and it's really no fun to drive a half hour, an hour to go see somebody and find out that they're really not going to be a good qualified contact. So really want to take the time on the phone. And I'm telling you, this is not only going to help you to decide whether or not this is the right person or even the right time to talk to them. But it will establish more trust because you are acting professionally, you are asking professional questions. So, if it's something where, I sense that they're turning 65 or they just called me in the middle of the year, I'll often say, well, when are you becoming eligible for Medicare? Oh, great. What's your birth date? You want to capture that birth date because, and you'll get burned 1 in 30 times or 31 times because, they say, oh, my birthday's in September. Well, if it's September 1, it's an August 1st effective date, and they may or may not even know that. So try to capture that birth date. Here's a great question. What coverage do you currently have? Somebody might, I'm oh my gosh, I got to scramble to get my Medicare, starting in September. I said, well, what coverage do you currently have? Well, I'm on my employer plan, or I'm on my spouse's employer plan. And then you want to kind of dig in a little bit on that. Maybe it's just helping them right there at that time to get signed up for Part A, see if that's something that they would need. If it is, oh, we're on COBRA, or, got a plan that's going to end when I turn 65, then that you're talking to somebody who definitely needs your help, and it's going to most likely result in an appointment and a sale. Ask them, are you collecting Social Security payments? And people don't usually understand what that question is up front, but it's one way to find out, do they have Medicare? If I'm talking to somebody within 3 months of their birth month, and 65th birth month, that is, and they are collecting Social Security payments, I'll say, oh, well, you've probably already received your Medicare card. And some will say, yes, I did. Others will say, no, I didn't get it. I say, oh, no. Well, they do look like a lot of the junk mail that you're getting. It could be that you just maybe set it aside and didn't realize that was your Medicare card. And oh yeah, they go digging through the pile of all that marketing material, and they do find their Medicare card. Or they're not collecting Social Security. You can explain to them how to sign up for Medicare, walk them through that process. And I want to, before I schedule an appointment, I'd like to know that they've at least begun that process. I don't necessarily need them to have their Medicare card when I go to see them. That's kind of nice, but it's also nice to be the first person that they see, get in there, and then get to the point where they don't feel like they've got to, click on all the stuff that they see on the internet or on Facebook, or, call from the ads that they see on TV. You kind of establish yourself as their agent. Does your employer offer Medicare plans? If they do, we're going to want to include that when we're comparing plan options. And this is more of a regional thing, but the agents like myself in Washington, we know that if somebody says, yeah, I've got access to a Boeing retiree plan, that's a qualified contact for us, because they're not likely going to want to get on that plan. It's just too expensive. But I definitely want to compare it and show them what it does offer. I mean, to some degree, I'm not going to be an expert on that. But if I don't know anything about the plan, I will ask them to pull together that information so that we can discuss it when we talk. In Washington, if somebody is on PEB, which is the Public Employee Benefits Board, that's a lot of the retired teachers that we'll run into. We do know that they're most likely going to want to go with the PEB plan. And I really don't want to waste an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of my time working with that individual. Now, what I will do is I will explain to them, what they need to do as far as getting signed up for Medicare, and really establish myself as an expert in the area, because I'll tell you what, I've gotten referrals from those individuals. I didn't even help them with their Medicare, and they ended up passing my name over to people because they knew that I was an expert in this area. And also very honest by telling them, I think your better option is going to be to go through your employer plan. And then also, it's very important, are you looking for you and your spouse? Is it just you, or are we talking about someone else? Oh, no, my spouse is 64. Oh, okay, good to know, because that's going to be someone I'm going to want to talk to in a year. And just establish all that information. Make sure you understand what's going on. So really, I think the concern here is, handling objections. And I think that there are less objections. I don't face a lot of them. And I think it's because of the way that you present yourself up front and deal with it. But hey, they do come and we do have to handle them. So in the, non-COVID days, it seems like a long time ago, we would get, I'd get people say, well, no, I don't want to meet with you. And, it's true that not everyone wishes to meet face to face. However, many of the objections we hear stem from the automatic responses we all have. So embrace these objections and see if it is truly the prospect's intent or just an irrational and immediate response. So someone will say, well, I'm not ready to meet. Well, I understand how you feel. Many of my clients felt the same way when we first spoke to them. However, what they found was when they met with me, the information shared with them was easy to understand and relatively quite painless. And that's exactly why we need to get together. Are mornings or afternoons better for you? Always finish with that invitation, and that's going to, require them to answer you. Well, can you just mail me the materials? Get that quite a bit, I think. They think that this is just something where, they can get all the stuff, which, most of them are already getting the piles of that stuff anyways. Oh, I'd love to. Boy, would my work be easier. But what I find is that people want detailed, specific information regarding Medicare, and of course, exactly what it costs, which is exactly why we need to get together. Are mornings or afternoons better for you? So when they ask specific questions about Medicare insurance, like I said, you're going to answer some questions pretty concisely up front just to kind of get into that. But at some point, if they just keep asking questions, that's not how we need to do this. Our objective is to get that appointment set. And of course, we got to get them a scope of appointment and all that business. So we don't want to really get into too much detail on this initial call. But so they're asking specific questions. They keep going on. That's a great question. Would you please write that down and any other questions that you might have? And that will be one of the first things that I will address when we get together. I have Tuesdays and Thursdays open right now. Which of those days works for you? I'm too busy to meet with anyone. I'm not surprised. I got a number of incredibly busy clients like you, and to accommodate their busy lives, we've set aside special time to meet their needs. I've got the time available on Thursday at 6 p.m. Can you check your calendar? Or we've changed our minds and we're no longer interested. I'm not surprised you're no longer interested. You really don't have any information to be interested in, which is exactly why we need to get together. Are mornings or afternoons better for you? Or I can understand why you feel that you are no longer interested in getting information on Medicare insurance, given what most people fear the most. I've spoken with many people like you who felt it was a hassle to change plans until they found that by working with someone who specializes in this area, oftentimes there are better and less expensive plans that are simple to enroll in, which is exactly why I need to get together. Do mornings or afternoons work best for you? So, another thing I'm going to encourage people to do is to write these scripts up. These are just my scripts. And a lot of them I'm not really even using anymore because I've kind of moved into this next phase. But, you have to create a script that works for your conversation level and put it right in front of you. Print it out and put it right over your desk, especially those intros, and modify them, adjust them. Another thing is they don't need to be perfect English. I think the way that we converse and the way that we talk on the phone can be a little bit, not quite proper English in some ways. So don't feel weird, ignoring the computer's autocorrect and things like that. Make it so that it is very conversational. Also, make sure there's no ands or buts or things like that. You need to have a very smooth, just like that. Just make it a very smooth conversation that you're having with the individual. Well, we get this. I can't set an appointment without knowing my spouse's schedule. Oh, of course not. But with our schedule booking up quickly, why don't we go ahead and set a time that we absolutely know works for you? And then you can check with your spouse to be sure. And if it works for their schedule too, we'll set that time. So do mornings or afternoons work best for you? Or we've already taken care of this matter. Wonderful. You know, maybe they've been to a bunch of those meetings, you know, marketing meetings that they've gone to, and it was specifically on United Healthcare. It was specifically on, you know, a specific product. So, well, wonderful. That's great news. One of the services we offer is to help folks do a quick side-by-side comparison to make sure they've got the type of coverage that's absolutely best for them, which is exactly why we need to get together. Do mornings or afternoons work best for you? This one, I think, you know, maybe as in the annual enrollment period, we'll get caught up on. It's I don't hear it too often, but we're busy with the holidays coming up. Well, that's very exciting. And one thing that I often find is that with the holidays, it's often time when families get together and healthcare often becomes a topic of conversation. That's exactly why we should get together prior to the holidays, so you have some specific information to share with them. Now, I've got time available on Monday at 1 o'clock. All right, so most important thing is setting the appointment. You know, at some point in that conversation, I'm gonna say, so the best thing we can do at this point is to schedule an appointment. And you can say, you know, to meet face-to-face, or we should schedule a telephone appointment. You know, be very specific about what direction you want to go, because there will be just mass confusion once you get off the phone call if you don't specify that. So the best thing we can do at this point is to schedule a face-to-face appointment. I have Thursday at 11 a.m. open on my calendar. Does that work for you? Great. Let's, you know, and it goes forward, or no, you know, then ask them what time will work best for them. Great. I have it scheduled for Thursday, August 5th at 11 a.m. I just need to get some information from you. Capture their address, their email, and explain to them, okay, I'm sending you an email confirming our appointment on Thursday, August 5th at 11 a.m. I also have some homework for you to do. The first item is a scope of appointment form. This is something that Medicare requires me to get before a meeting. There's a link for you to click on, so there's nothing for you to print out. It's all done electronically. It asks you to check off boxes of the things you wish to talk about. Please check them all. You're just agreeing to allow me to discuss these topics, and that's it. I also need you to gather a list of medications you take and doctors that you see. And the third item is a link to the presentation we'll be reviewing. Feel free to go through it or wait until I get there. We will thoroughly review your options either way. Sound good? Absolutely, it does. All right, so that's pretty much the information that I had to share with you. I guess, you know, the one thing I'll say is that, you know, with the book of business that I have now, I am not taking leads anymore. I do not need to have leads. I don't have to pay for leads or anything like that. I have a big enough book of business now that for referral partners or even clients, I'm just getting enough referrals. Just, you know, you have to kind of beat them off with a stick. And that is where you will be. But you have to do the work up front. You have to make these phone calls. So don't be shy. Don't avoid them. You know, it's something that you, at the end of the day, you're helping folks. And if any of you have had sales, you know that at the end of that sale, you know, you're getting praise from the individual. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was so confusing. You made it so easy. I really appreciate that. You know, I get to the point too where I have my existing clients sending me emails. Is it okay if we refer you or give you your number to my brother or my friend? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That's so kind of you. So it happens. And I encourage you to not have any fear of the phones. Just get on and enjoy them. That's when we have the right to make that call, we should be making those calls. So let's see here. I think that I can go ahead and unmute yourself if anyone has a question. I'm going through and giving you permission to unmute yourself.
Is there any way we can get copies of those scripts, especially for setting the appointment?
Yes, so all of this will be sent out to everyone who is on the call today.
Oh, good.
And then there should be, this is being recorded, so we should be able to send you a link to to watch this on YouTube. So if you wanted to watch it again, but yes, we'll send the slideshow to everyone who's been on the call.
Thank you.
All right. No other questions. And I know that either means that I did a really good job or I really messed it up. So
Well, I've got a question. I've got a question. Do you
Okay.
since we're, I'm getting ready to take some business out of state, do you find that this works just as well for phone appointments?
Yes. Oh, this is, yeah. At the end of the day, where the appointment ends up, whether it's over the phone or it's face to face, everything will be the same from the perspective of getting in and establishing that trust. And yeah, I'm surprised because I really demanded that we only do face to face appointments for so long, and then with the pandemic moving right over into telephone appointments, I was surprised at how smooth the transition that was. And of course, that was with a lot of help from the carriers and FMO and stuff, providing you the script, not scripts necessarily, but the one-on-one presentations that you could go through and being able to easily share that with your clients. And I get, that's another thing I should say too, is that I don't do Zoom calls, obviously. I get fish out of water right now trying to figure this thing out. But what I'll do is I'll have a telephone call and I'll have the individual open up that Medicare Compare USA Medicare Made Simple presentation. And I'll just go along on that with them and I'll say, okay, I'm on page 5. Do you see the Medicare card? Yeah. And then I'll, kind of explain it that way.
Okay, so you don't do, but when you get ready to enroll them, you don't do any comparisons or anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, so the way that the call will usually go is I'll take them through the script, not the script, but the Medicare 101. And of course, I'm not just saying what's on the screen, but I'm explaining to them, what is an annual enrollment period? You have this open enrollment period, you have the initial enrollment period. I'm giving them all the information, and then I'm taking them down to, some people are going to be a good fit for supplements. Some are going to be a good fit for Medicare Advantage plan. And then that's where we start to get, after I've explained how the two things work, I kind of put it to them. I say, hey, what side of that fence do you think you fall on? Do you really think that you need a supplement, or that you'd be more, do you think an Advantage plan would be better for you? And they're going to tell me, of course, most times it's going to be an Advantage plan. But from there, your work is cut out for you. Then it's a matter of saying, okay, well, let's look at your medications. And that's usually where I start. Check the medications against Medicare.gov. A lot of times, depending on the medications, a lot of times that could give you the answer right there. This particular plan is the best, or or at least, not the best, but the lowest cost option. And kind of then okay, well, I've got this company ABC. Let's check the doctors. Oh, look, all your doctors are in there. Well, you know what? That's the plan that's probably going to be the best. If it's got the ancillary benefits that they need, but a lot of times the ancillary benefits don't matter if medications are $1,000 less on this plan versus the next one down the road. So yeah, I'm doing a comparison, but I'm not going to send them 3 different brochures from 3 different carriers. That's just going to confuse them.
Well, that's true. Then they won't do anything.
Right.
I was going to ask you something. I forgot what it was now. Oh, which enrollment platform do you use? Do you use the Sunfire, or do you use the other one?
Well, I'm getting into the Sunfire. I'm new to that too. For the most part, I've kind of gone into the individual carriers using their individual Pearl, the website connection, or going into Ascend, or United Healthcare has their own thing. So depending on, I try to stay off of that until I kind of establish what plan is going to be the best. And then from there, I go in and the Sunfire is going to be great this year because there are going to be so many carriers that are there. For me personally, I have a couple of local carriers that are not on there. So if that tool works for you, I think it's great. I would love to just sit on, use Sunfire or GCS, yeah, the other one. But these are great. But since I have some carriers, not all my carriers are on there yet. I'm kind of still freestyling it, so to speak. But I will definitely be using that tool, the Sunfire tool. For me, I think is going to work the best.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think that's also individual. I think it depends on where you are in the country and what plans you're selling. But yeah, definitely look at both of those options and figure out which one will work best for you.
Yeah, well, obviously, if I'm getting a lead from Medicare Compare, I've got to use the carriers. I need to use the carriers that I'm contracted through them for. So Sunflower, I always want to call it Sunflower. Sunfire has all those. The regional carriers I can't get contracted through Medicare Compare, so I won't be, unless I get a referral from one of my clients, I won't be using that. But
yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, this has been very helpful to me personally, because I'm like you, I love to sit down in front of people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my favorite thing to do. And you're right. They are very loyal to you and they give you referrals right and left. But with this virus going around, and now I'm being, I've appointed for I live in Virginia, but I've been appointed for North Carolina to run some leads. I can't obviously get my car and drive 4 hours down there to meet with people.
Oh, right.
So, this has been very helpful, because even though I've used Zoom, I'm like, man, that's just a lot of moving parts to have to deal with talking to somebody while you're talking to somebody over the phone, and a lot of them are not on Zoom. They don't, they're intimidated by technology. So
yes.
Yeah, this has been very helpful. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I really appreciate the time you put into this. It's very helpful.
Excellent. All right. Well, if any other questions, I'll say goodbye.
Tim,
yep.
I have one. It's sort of off topic, but you still use Medicare.gov, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, have you noticed that they've changed up their format and they don't give you the tiers anymore?
Yeah, it is. I haven't delved into it enough to really figure out what they messed up, or if there's another way to find that stuff. But yeah, it's getting more difficult to kind of go through and understand. But at the same time, we are finding that it at least gives you that apples to apples sort of comparison up front. As far as knowing which of the meds is going to be the low, or which plan will be the lowest cost based on their medications and their pharmacy choice. So
yeah, I just wonder why they took out the tiers, though. I just cannot figure out what the advantage of that was.
Right. At least they did it early. I think, what was it? A couple of years ago, they went and changed it right before the end, like October 1st.
Right.
At the beginning of the annual enrollment period, and we're like, what? What do we do? So,
well, Tim, I've never used Medicare.gov. Don't you have to get them to create an account to do that?
So the individual can go in and do that, but for the most part, I want to be that person who's helping them and walking them through it. So a lot of times I'll just go in there, and you don't have to create an account. If you go into Medicare.gov, gosh, they've changed up the website, so I don't know if I can give you a step-by-step here, but you would click on find plans, and then it's got a big thing in the center screen that says go ahead and log in. Well, right below that it says, no, I want to look at plans without logging in.
Okay.
And that takes you right into it, where you say, yeah, I'm looking for Part D, or I'm looking for an Advantage plan with drug coverage, and then it's pretty simple to walk through.
Well, isn't that the same thing you can do on Sunfire?
Exactly. So yeah, if you've got this capability on Sunfire, I'd say don't mess around with Medicare.gov.
Yeah.
I'm still doing that just because I'm not, partly because I have issues with technology, but secondly because, like I said, some of my plans aren't in there, and it gives me a better opportunity to just say, oh, okay, well, yeah, obviously these plans that I do have on Sunfire are showing to me to be the best. Then I can jump on a Sunfire and go from there. But yeah, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be different for everyone. I'm just still doing what works best for me and what's most efficient.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.